Every night, like clockwork, a small golden retriever puppy would appear outside City General Hospital. No collar, no owner in sight, just this little dog, curling up near the emergency room doors as if waiting for someone. Nurses and doctors noticed him, but assumed he was just a stray seeking shelter. That is, until one night, when a young intern named Dr. Mark Evans spotted something unusual. The puppy wasn't just resting. He was watching the entrance, his eyes filled with something deeper than hunger or fear. It was anticipation. But why? What or who was this puppy waiting for? Continue building intrigue. Describe how staff tried to shoo him away, but he kept returning. And with little did they know, the truth would break their hearts. Nurse Sarah Wilkins was used to long, grueling night shifts. But one chilly evening, as she stepped outside for a break, she saw him, the little golden retriever, shivering under the awning. Unlike others, she didn't ignore him. She brought scraps from the cafeteria, speaking softly as he cautiously ate. Night after night, she'd find him there, always around 11 p.m., always staring at the doors. Then one day, she noticed something strange. The puppy wasn't just looking at anyone coming in. He perked up at specific people. Elderly patients, children, women in wheelchairs. Almost as if he was searching for someone. But who? Build mystery. Did he lose his owner? Was he abandoned? And the answer would come from the most unexpected place. Dr. Mark Evans wasn't just any doctor. He was a pediatric oncologist, used to seeing suffering. But this puppy, something about him felt different. One night, Mark decided to check if the dog was hurt. As he approached, the puppy didn't run. Instead, he wagged his tail weakly, as if recognizing a friend. Mark checked for a microchip. Nothing. Then, as he stroked the dog's fur, he noticed something odd, a faint scent of antiseptic and baby powder. Why would a stray smell like a hospital room? That's when Mark remembered a story from months ago, a story that sent chills down his spine. Hint at a past patient, and could this puppy be connected to her? 6 months earlier, a little girl named Emily had been admitted to the pediatric ward. Terminally ill, her only comfort was her puppy, Max. Her parents, unable to care for him, had reluctantly left him with a neighbor when Emily was hospitalized. But one day, Max disappeared. The family was devastated, assuming he'd run away or been taken. But now, Dr. Evans realized Max hadn't run away. He'd been searching for Emily. And when he couldn't find her home, he went to the last place he'd seen her, the hospital. Reveal emotional weight. Max had been waiting outside for months, not knowing Emily had passed away, and with Dr. Evans choking up. When Dr. Evans told the staff Max's story, not a single eye stayed dry. This puppy had spent months sleeping outside, hoping his best friend would walk out those doors. He didn't understand she was gone, only that he couldn't leave without her. That night, something incredible happened. Transition to resolution. Will Max find new home? And with hope. When Dr. Evans shared Max's story with the hospital staff, the room fell silent. Nurse Sarah clutched her chest, remembering how she'd shooed him away just days before. All this time, he was waiting for her, murmured an elderly janitor who'd seen Max every night. The weight of the puppy's loyalty hit them all. But now, one question remained. What would happen to Max? Could they really let him keep sleeping outside, waiting for a little girl who would never return? And with decision, the staff votes to bring Max inside. That night, for the first time in months, Max didn't sleep on the cold pavement. Nurse Sarah made him a bed in the break room, but the moment the doors closed, he whimpered. He scratched at the exit, his ears drooping. It was clear he didn't want to be inside. He wanted to be out there, where he could watch for Emily. Dr. Evans realized Max wasn't just a lost dog. He was a grieving soul, clinging to hope. So they compromised. Reveal. They set up a sheltered spot for him by the entrance, where he could still keep watch. One of the interns snapped a photo of Max and posted it online. Within hours, the story exploded. Thousands of shares, comments from people who'd seen him, even a local news reporter asking to cover the story. But amidst the viral fame, one message stood out, a woman who recognized Max immediately. "That's Emily's dog," she wrote. "I was her neighbor. He disappeared the day she—" The message ended there, but it was a clue they needed. Tease. The neighbor holds a key piece of the puzzle. Hospital privacy laws made it difficult, but Dr. Evans managed to reach out to Emily's parents through her old file. When he called, her mother answered with a trembling voice. The moment he mentioned Max, she broke down. "We thought he ran away, or that someone took him," she sobbed. Emily asked about him every day until the line went quiet. Then a quiet request, "Can we see him?" And with the parents coming to the hospital. When Emily's parents arrived, Max was dozing in his usual spot. Then her mother whispered his name. His head shot up. For a second he stared. Then, with a whimper, he launched himself into her arms, licking her face frantically as if saying, "Where is she? Where's Emily?" Her father hugged them both, his shoulders shaking. The staff watched in silence, their own tears falling. In that moment, Max wasn't just a dog. He was the last living piece of their little girl. And with the parents deciding to take Max home. As Emily's parents drove Max away, the staff gathered outside, waving. Nurse Sarah pressed a hand to her mouth. Dr. Evans sighed. For months, this puppy had been their silent, loyal companion. Now he was going home, but not the home he'd hoped for. Would he ever stop waiting? Would he ever understand? The car turned the corner, and Max disappeared from view, but his story was far from over. Tease. Max struggles to adjust to life without Emily. At first, Max refused to eat. He'd wander the house, sniffing Emily's toys or blankets, then whine at the front door. Her parents tried everything, new toys, long walks, even another dog for company. But Max's heart was still at that hospital. Then one day, Dr. Evans paid him a visit. He took one look at Max's dull eyes and said quietly, "I think I know what he needs." Hint, Max needs purpose, a way to honor Emily. With training, Max became an official therapy dog, returning to the very hospital he'd waited outside for so long. But this time, he wasn't waiting. He was healing. Kids in the pediatric ward lit up when he entered. Parents cried as their children laughed for the first time in weeks. And Max, his tail never stopped wagging. It was as if he'd finally found his calling, to bring the same comfort Emily had given him. Show montage of Max helping patients. The hospital dedicated a quiet corner of the garden to Emily, with a plaque and her favorite flowers. The day it was unveiled, Max sat beside her for hours, as if finally understanding. Emily wasn't coming back, but she'd never left his heart. And now, he had a new mission, to love others the way he'd loved her. Transition to years later. Years passed. Max grew slower, his muzzle turning white, but his impact lived on. The hospital's therapy dog program, inspired by him, expanded to dozens of dogs. Dr. Evans, now the head of pediatrics, often said Max was the best doctor he'd ever worked with. And every night, before heading home, Max would still pause at the entrance. But now, it wasn't to wait. It was to remember. Emotional reflection on loyalty and love. When Max's time finally came, it was peaceful. Emily's parents held him. The staff who'd loved him stood close, and Dr. Evans whispered, "Go find her, buddy." As his breathing slowed, one nurse swore she saw his tail wag weakly, as if, in his last moments, he did see her. Emily, running toward him, finally calling him home. Tearful but uplifting ending. After Emily's passing, her parents couldn't bear to move her things. Her backpack still hung by the door. Her favorite stuffed rabbit sat on the pillow. And Max's leash, the one she picked out herself, with little paw prints stitched into the fabric, remained untouched. Every morning, her father would reach for her out of habit, then remember. But Max hadn't forgotten. The hospital staff would later realize he'd been following that same invisible routine for months, waiting, hoping, as if one day the leash would clip onto his collar again, and Emily's laughter would fill the halls once more. Transition, a nurse finds Max's paw prints leading back to the pediatric ward. No one understood why Max kept returning to this spot, until a heavy rain washed away the topsoil. Beneath the tree, tangled in the roots, was a child's hair ribbon, pink, slightly frayed. Nurse Sarah gasped when she saw it. "This was Emily's," she whispered. "The little girl had often sat here during chemo, watching birds build nests. Max must have buried it long ago, a treasure to protect. And now, in his own way, he was giving it back." The staff stood in silence as Max laid the ribbon at Dr. Evans' feet, his tail wagging just once, as if to say, she was here. She mattered. Symbolism. The ribbon becomes a relic, later framed in the hospital hallway. The night before Max passed, he did something extraordinary. He slipped away from Emily's parents and returned to the hospital one last time. Security footage showed him padding down the familiar halls, stopping outside room 312, Emily's old room. When Dr. Evans found him, Max was lying on the exact spot where her bed had been, his nose pressed to floorboards. Was he searching for her scent or saying goodbye? No one knew, but when the doctor lifted him gently, Max licked his hand, a quiet thank you, before closing his eyes. The next morning he was gone. Echo. The crayon drawing is later found in Max's belongings, tucked beneath his blanket. Years turned into decades. The hospital expanded. Staff retired. But stories of the golden dog, who never gave up, lingered. Some swore they'd seen him. A flicker of movement near room 312, or a warm presence during lonely night shifts. Parents would tell their sick children, "If you see a friendly dog with kind eyes, don't be afraid. That's just Max checking on you." And on quiet evenings, when the wind rustled the oak tree in the garden, the pink ribbon in its frame would flutter as if waving back. For the first time in over a year, the hospital entrance was empty. No small golden shadow waiting patiently. Inside, Nurse Sarah peered out the window, her tea growing cold. "It feels wrong," she admitted to Dr. Evans. "Like we lost something tonight, too." The truth was, Max's absence hurt almost as much as his vigil had, because now they knew he'd finally stopped waiting. While packing Max's things, Emily's mother found her diary. On the last page, shaky but determined, Emily had written, "If I don't get better, please tell Max I'll wait for him next time." The words shattered everyone who read them, because in the end, it wasn't Max who failed Emily. It was all of them who'd failed to understand a dog's love could outlast even death. 3 months after leaving the hospital, Max did something he'd never done before. He howled. Not the playful noise of a dog answering sirens, but a soul-deep cry that woke the neighborhood. Emily's father ran to his side, only to find Max staring at the moon, trembling. "He's calling her," her mother realized. That night, they finally let him sleep in Emily's room, where her scent still lingered in the stuffed animals she'd loved. When Max began his therapy work, no one expected him to gravitate toward the oncology ward. But then came Mrs. Henderson, a terminal patient who'd stopped speaking weeks prior. The moment Max laid his head on her lap, she whispered, "You miss her too, don't you?" For the first time, Max met someone who understood his grief in a way even humans couldn't. The day Max collapsed during rounds, the entire hospital staff panicked. Tests revealed advanced heart disease, common in dogs who endure prolonged stress. The vet explained quietly. As Emily's parents signed a do not resuscitate form, Dr. Evans made a promise. "We'll take care of them," he told Max, "just like you took care of all of us." In his final hours, Max's breathing grew labored, but his tail kept thumping weakly. "What's he seeing?" Emily's mother asked through tears. The vet smiled sadly. Dogs often dream before passing. Maybe he's finally found her. And as Max took his last breath, his ears perked up, as if hearing a voice only he could understand. The hospital didn't retire Max's vest. Instead, they hung it where children could see it. "Where's the golden dog?" A little boy asked one day. Nurse Sarah knelt down. "He's keeping someone very special company now." The boy nodded sagely. Like angels. In that moment, they all realized Max hadn't just been a dog. He'd been a guardian all along. 6 months after Max's passing, the therapy program received a surprise, a rescue puppy from the same lineage, with the same unusual blue eye. When he instinctively laid his head on a crying child's lap during evaluation, Dr. Evans choked up. "Welcome back, old friend." Some bonds, it seemed, even death couldn't break. On the 1-year anniversary, something extraordinary happened. Strangers, patients Max had comforted, staff he'd inspired, gathered outside the hospital with candles. No one organized it. They just came because Max's love had become something bigger than all of them, a reminder that even the briefest lives can leave paw prints on eternity. Years later, Max's statue never lacked for visitors. Parents tell their children about the dog who loved beyond the grave. Medical students rub his paw for good luck. And every so often, when the wind rustles the trees just right, old-timers swear they see it. A flash of gold out of the corner of their eye and the faintest wag of a tail.